Hi there, this is Eshu. I'm the abbot here at Zenwest Buddhist Society. This Living Zen-podcast is just one of the many resources we've created at Zenwest to make Zen practice and training more available and accessible to people all over the world. Instructional videos, printable resources, and much, much more are also available on our website at www.zenwest.ca. If you're a regular listener, I'd love to hear from you. So please drop me an email at office@zenwest.ca and let me know who you are, how you got started, and what brought you to Zen. Everything we make available in person and online at Zenwest is only possible because of the support of our members and associates, people like you. If the efforts of our community are making a difference in your life, I'd like to invite you to show your support and take part in making it happen by becoming an associate or member of the Zenwest Sangha. You can do this by clicking the Join Us tab on our website at www.zenwest.ca. Thank you for your support, and thanks for listening.
Today is March 3rd. Would have been my sister's 50th birthday today, my eldest sister. Last year, I was in Ontario to celebrate her 49th birthday with her. She was in hospital. And just a few weeks later, she passed away. Too young, I think, for my liking anyway. I was in the middle of Sesshin, the spring Sesshin at Choboji, when I received a notification that she was really not doing well and I should make my way back. It's only the second time in my life that I've ever left a retreat in the middle. And I think it was a pretty good reason. I was asked to say a few words about going before I left. And what I said is something that we say, we hold to, we hold up in Zen practice all the time. But it's something that really struck quite deeply for me then. In the Zen tradition, there is a verse that's often chanted in the evening while or slightly after the kaihan, this board outside, is struck. And the verse is, "Life and death is the great matter. Time swiftly passes by and opportunity is lost. We must all make effort or apply ourselves to awaken. Pay attention and don't waste time or don't waste your life." We have this form of practice. Meditation has become very popular now in our culture. Mindfulness is very popular now. And we all get into it for any number of reasons, from trying to improve our health or trying to be more productive at work, or I don't know what else, being able to focus more on our studies or be better artists or musicians. But underlying all of this is this fundamental realization or a fundamental awareness that this collection of circumstances, conditions, situations that make this body what it is, make this person that I call me what it is very transient. It's very temporary. It's very precious in its delicacy. We can tend, particularly when we're young, we can tend to think of ourselves as being invulnerable or permanent. But just in the snap of a finger, the cord is cut, and this life that we have can be over, really, quite easily. We don't get one single element that we require for survival, and it's over. We, in spite of this fact being sort of presented to us all the time, over and over again in our lives, this transience, this transformation of life and death, birth and death, over and over again, and right in front of us, we manage to ignore it somehow. We manage to push it aside or somehow reason with it and think, it doesn't mean us. It's sort of like everything out there. And as a result, as we go through our lives, we tend to spend our precious time doing things that just aren't worth doing. Or we tend to do things that are worth doing, but really with half of ourselves. As Mumon, an old Zen master, said, like ghosts, just half doing it. So this practice of Zen, we can look at it and it's really structured and it's really formal and it's a lot of tradition and all of this kind of stuff. But this is a form of practice that started to happen in this form in about the year 500. And its primary focus is to bring all of the activities of our lives down into a very simple basics. Recognizing that regardless of what you do for your living, regardless of how you go about having your relationships or what you do in this world, there are just a very few actions that we're actually doing, and they're just variations of those. But most importantly, it's not what we're doing, it's how we go about doing it. So we come to this place of practice, and all of the difficult variables that affect us throughout our lives are managed to some degree. We've got a beautiful environment that's quiet, the temperature's sort of in the middle, it's not too hot, it's not too cold. When it's time to read, the lights go up. When it's time to sit, the lights go down to a nice, comfortable glow. There's a structure, so we don't need to worry about what the people beside us are doing. And all we're asked to do is sit. All we're asked to do is take up a straight and still posture. Bring awareness to the fact and to the activity of our breathing, and actually be aware of this simple activity that's unfolding that is the full content of our life. In this moment, this is all there is. This is the full content of your life right now. There's nowhere else to be. There's nothing else for you to do but this. And yet we find as we sit down, we come to this Tuesday evening and say, I'm going to do Zen practice, and we come in and everybody's prepared this space for us and created this warm and loving nest for us to just be aware of the unfolding activity of our life. After 3 seconds or 4 seconds, we find the body, the mind, our emotions, the lists of things that we have to do, we're shattered into 1,000 directions. And we find it's really difficult, actually, to just be present, to just be aware of this dynamic activity that is our life. It's hard to be aware of even the fact that we're breathing. In an evening of meditation here at UVic, how many moments are we aware of what's actually taking place in our lives, in this unfolding activity? This past weekend, we had the honor of having my teacher, Genjo Marinello Osho, at Zenwest in Suk for a weekend intensive session. And I was reminded of the immense value of this kind of intensive practice. Zen isn't just meditating once a week, or even really once a day. I was speaking to Doshu some time ago about how this activity of intensive practice is the engine, it's the reactor of a life of awakening. If you think about just the math behind it, how much of our lives do we spend being distracted? How much of our lives do we spend distracting ourselves and distracting others from this unfolding activity that's happening in front of us? If we're here for 45 minutes of doing awakening practice, of consciously trying to be in our lives, to do our lives, to be the activity of our lives, then 23 and a quarter hours of our day are dedicated to being shattered in 1,000 different directions. This practice, as I said, was started a long time ago. Buddhism itself started a really long time ago. But this particular practice of Zen, which offers us this unique experience to go deep, to go quite deeply into the practice of simply being present with the unfolding activity of our lives. It's a rare and precious treasure. I was thinking in the first sit that it reminds me of a ship. And whenever we have a Tuesday evening sit, it's like I feel like I have this incredible ocean-going vessel that is, the personnel are trained for ocean-going journeys and great swells and strong winds. And every Tuesday evening we pull this ship into the harbor and offer anybody who wants to come along. And we go for a nice little day trip around the inner islands, and people say, "Wow, wonderful." And you can see all hands on deck, and how they handle the ropes and how they handle the bells. And you can say, "Gee, these people really seem to know what they're doing." And then at the end of the evening, we pull back into the harbor and let everybody out. Everybody has a pleasant afternoon on the water. And yet I stand on the deck hungry for the depths. And I just want to shake every person on the way off the ship and say, "You really ought to see this thing on the open ocean." But it's not this thing. It's not this practice, and it's not the people that I think it's important for us to experience. But it's the depth of our own nature. It's the depth of who we truly are. It's the deep resonance and connection and harmonious functioning that takes place when we manage to let go of our distractions, to let go of our fixations and obsessions and desires. It's difficult to do in our daily lives. Every moment of every day we have a new desire and a new distraction foisted upon us. Something else that seems so important to do. And yet when we are confronted with this simple fact of our own mortality, the simple fact that the number of moments that you have in this life are finite, the number of activities that you can engage in are actually limited. We recognize that there's really only so many things worth doing. This practice, from where I sit, in my experience, is really strongly aimed at cherishing the time that we have in this body, the time that we have in this environment and in this life. This practice is aimed at realizing the beauty that is each and every moment of our lives. We don't have to go anywhere to experience this beauty. We don't have to catch anything or add anything to this life. All we need to do is wake up to what's taking place in our lives in this moment. There's nowhere else for you to go. There's nothing else for you to do. Only wake up.
Thanks for listening to the Living Zen podcast. If you follow Living Zen through iTunes, I would very much appreciate it if you would take a moment to let me know what you think about it by rating or reviewing the podcast, so that new listeners can also hear what you have to say. Thank you for your time and for your support.